Hey everyone, welcome here and glad to have you along. Did you know that I am now on Locals? Locals is an app where you can build community. Think of it like a modern day Facebook group. There you can get free content. I host morning coffees, some afternoon happy hours. You get tons of bonus content, discounts to programs and functions, and it's the best place to connect with me and the subscription box community as we continue to grow. All the videos are free to watch, and all you have to do is sign up on Locals. And the best place to do that is to download the Locals app and search for The Subscription Box Show or Eric Music, or you can go to the actual website, thesubscriptionboxshow.locals.com, and there you'll be able to sign up for free. Hope to see you there, and remember to check out our new YouTube channel, The Subscription Box Show. Cheers, and enjoy the show. There you go. So we're recording, and we are live. We're just going to kind of hop into it with Anthony Coombs, the founder of Splendies. So Anthony, it's been a while since we've last chatted, last talked. I think it was episode 100, maybe, when you're part of the panel. Was that the last time we spoke?
It's been a minute. I'm not really sure. A lot of chaos in the last year, so I'm not sure. But
well, welcome back. Yeah, I think this will be your third time. So for those of you guys who are longtime listeners of the show, you'll notice AC's third appearance on the show here. Maybe finally joining it's like the SNL skits where you have to have some, after 3 and 4 and 5 appearances, you're gonna have to have I'll have to send you guys something in the mail to celebrate that. But yeah,
the Steve Martin of the show.
That's right. So anyways, welcome back. Glad to have you here. For those who have maybe never heard of you and never heard of Splendies, maybe just give us a quick intro, who you are, what you guys do there. You're still in California. I'm assuming you're still in LA.
Yeah, still in LA.
Yeah.
And so Splendies is a monthly subscription service for women of all sizes. And we've been doing it since 2013. So we've definitely been one of the pioneers of the subscription box sort of revolution, if you want to call it that. A lot of people are like, oh, subscriptions, that's really hot now. I'm like, oh, we've been doing it for a little while. Know a lot about it. Been doing it since 2013. So definitely seen the ups and downs and the craziness and the good, the bad, the ugly of the industry.
Do you still get people, I have this thing where it's kind of hard to explain what you do sometimes. Is that fair to say? Like when someone says oh, what's a subscription, or what's a subscription box, or how do you answer that? That's
like 5 years ago. Sure.
Yeah.
But now it's almost like, if you weren't doing subscription, people would be like, oh, you should try that in a subscription. So it's definitely turned the corner a lot from where it was 4 or 5 years ago to now. Like, if you don't have a subscription, people are like, why aren't you doing subscription?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Maybe that's where the case, especially in LA, like it's such an entrepreneurial city, right? You got Silicon Valley. Like here in Canada, like I still get it all the time. Like, we had new neighbors.
Well, Silicon Valley, just because there's definitely a thing between Northern and Southern California. That's
okay.
California. So
okay. See, I just ignorant Canadian here. I'm just putting you guys on the same boat. So it's California. It's all Silicon Valley. It's
no, that's Northern California, the Bay Area. We're what's called Silicon Beach, if people still use the term.
Okay, cool. Well, I was just gonna say, like, I have a new neighbor. She just moved in. She's, I don't know, they're retired, so they're, they're older couple. But she's like, oh, subscriptions. What is that? And I just saying, like, here, I still get it a lot. So I don't know if it's just like the people, a lot of boomers up here in Canada or whatever. But I still get a lot of people telling me, like, what subscription. I just find it hard to explain. What you do in a nutshell. It's kind of hard. It's like, well, we got this, I don't know, mom and baby shop. Like, I don't know. How do you tell people, like, what's your go-to elevator pitch?
So the main thing people ask is, oh, so what is Splendies? Like, we're a subscription service for ladies' underwear. If they pry further, then we'll just say, we send you a surprise package of underwear every month. It's a complete surprise, something fun, something different, something new. And hopefully by then they get it. If it's a good elevator pitch, they'll understand what we're doing by then.
Yeah, pretty self-explanatory for us who know it. Hey, I'm curious.
I try to keep it simple, really. I mean, at the end of the day, the more you have to kind of go into it, I think the further away from the core of what you're doing. So, really, it's, you get 3 pairs of ladies' underwear every month, and hopefully by then you should have an idea. Then usually the question is like, oh, do you get to pick? All those sorts of things. And so you kind of go into it deeper if they need more clarification. But yeah.
Yeah, I guess I find myself going into a rabbit hole of like, oh, well, have you ever heard of Dollar Shave Club, or have you ever heard of like FabFitFun? I start turning, and then some of them are like, oh yeah, okay, I get it, and others are like, nope. It's like, oh shoot, then we're a mom and baby shop. It's like, sure. I guess that's where we end up. Anyways, I think last time we spoke, I was curious about if you're ever going to get into men's underwear. So like some kind of gitch box, people call it. Do you guys, have you guys ever explored that, or is it like you're busy enough with what you do and you're niching in with what you have? And
we're niching in. Definitely looking to do other things, but definitely niching into the ladies space. I'm not sure if the stats are still the same, but I remember reading one time years ago that men change their underwear once every like 9 years.
Come on. Really?
No, like seriously. And I talked to a lot of friends and guys, they may not want to admit it and they would never admit it publicly, but they're like, yeah, you're right. Like a lot of men, they'll kind of go and get like the 12 pack of underwear, and that'll last a really long time.
Yeah.
So
fair play.
Sticking with women.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because I literally, now this is maybe too much info, but I literally just threw a pair of like my boxer briefs that I've had for a long time. Like, and they had like, it was at the point where it was like, I got out of the shower, I put them on, and there's like, it was holes everywhere. I'm like, it's time to do this. It's time to finally do this. And I took him and I like, yeah, it's just like, I think the last week I finally threw that pair away. I don't know if they were 9 years old, but they were,
you're not the only guy who does that. That's why we don't want to do men.
I guess it's funny how we can paint us all with the same brush. Okay, so sorry about that, folks, if you're listening. We're gonna move on to actually subscription stuff. So since we last spoke, a lot of change obviously in the demographics of not only the subscription industry but entrepreneurship, inflation now, and all this kind of crazy things going on with the rising costs. I just want to get into it with on the business side of things. How are things with you guys? Are you seeing a stabilization, an increase, a decrease in subscriptions since the inflation has gone up? Shipping prices, obviously the cost of goods to manufacture, everything's kind of going up in price. How has that affected you guys over in LA?
Oh, it's affected everyone. I mean, I talked to a lot of people in the industry, and I don't really know of many. I don't know of anyone actually who's doing better in 2022 than they were in 2021 and years prior. It's definitely been an interesting year because it's been the first time where we've seen all these market factors have a negative impact. No, people aren't buying, as they used to. Things are going up a ton. Gas here in California is insane. And so when you just couple all of those things together, I shouldn't say couple, when you marry 5 or 6 different factors together, advertising costs have gone up, shipping costs have gone up, supply chain issues have still happened, even though that's been better. What you kind of have to understand is that even though, let's say, supply chain issues have become better, they're still not where they were 2 or 3 years ago. And so we're in a completely different environment. So you're almost having to reimagine and rethink how you do everything. And so that's something in which I try to do. It's not the easiest. I think being an entrepreneur and trying to be a successful entrepreneur is you need to have a sixth sense to be able to see into the future. And it's not crazy. It's not like, you're not psychic, but you have to be able to see what's going to happen before it happens. And the way that you do that is by talking to a lot of different people, a lot of people that you know and trust. I talk to a lot of people in the industry. And so when 3 or 4 people are saying the same thing, then it's more than likely what's happening. And you need to sort of like plan ahead. One of the things in which was difficult for us was we weren't ahead of the supply chain stuff. And that took us maybe 6 months to get things to where things weren't shipping like, right on the date or a little bit slower. And we had a month where we had some stuff for St. Patrick's Day come in. We had planned to get it in to ship out on February 19th. And we were supposed to get it in on December 31st, I believe. That got delayed to January 9th. So the whole idea is that you're planning ahead and you're buffering in. And so knowing this, we had this planned ahead for 2.5 months. Well, those didn't get to us until March 8th.
Oh.
And so when you originally planned for December 31st, which gets pushed back to January 9th, but then that in turn gets pushed back to March 8th, there's really not a lot you can do about that. And so, it's hard. And so now we're planning, we're already through first quarter of 23 in our planning, where years ago, we would be able to plan a lot. We didn't have to be such as far in advance. But you really do have to know what's happening, what's coming, and you can do that by talking to other people that you trust. And if a few people are saying the same thing, then you can know that that's probably what's happening.
Is that something that may be unique to the something like you, where it's like apparel, like clothing, because there's so many different variations and sizes? Is that something that would be more detrimental to you guys compared to someone who maybe just, has one socks, pair maybe that's apparel too, like I don't know, like something else, like a gentleman's box where it's just actual items? Is that, or
No, this is all, and the thing is, for better or worse, I don't talk to a lot of people in apparel for
yeah,
that reason, because I want to know, is this an intimate situation? Is this uh, like a fabric situation? And no, this is happening to people who are doing things all over the place. I mean, I talk to people who do, and I'm sure you've talked with them, a complete variety, pet toys and all this other stuff, which has nothing to do with us. But if they're going through the same stuff, then we know it's an industry-wide situation.
yeah, I think it is too. I mean, Q4 people already, you better be hunkering down for it already if you're not, folks, because this will come out, I don't know, in the next few weeks here. So mid-July, late July, early August by the time this episode comes out. So yeah, if you're not, you better get on it. I think that was an eye opener last year. So like Q4, are you guys doing something different for Q4 then, because just of all the delays? Like, is that all set in place? What's the plan there?
Yeah, so we planned ahead. All of our Q4 stuff should be here by the end of Q3, which creates like another issue, because now, as a lot of subscriptions, if you try to run them as lean as possible, as we've always tried to do, you want to literally get things in, have them go out, get things in, have them go out, and not have things storing for 2, 3, 4 months.
Yeah.
But and so I definitely know that I've spoken with friends about this. The issue with that now is that warehousing becomes an issue, because you may not have the amount of spaces you had before, because you're having to bring in 3, 4, sometimes 5 months of goods ahead of time. That's something that's new. And so this is you're almost like, if you're starting a subscription in 2022, your advantage would be, you don't know what was there in 2019, 2018, 2020. So you only know what's happening now. You only know to plan 6, 7 months, 8 months ahead of time. Whereas before, it was a good situation where you could plan things out 4 or 5 months ahead and really have things come in, go out, come in, go out. But now it's a different world. So if you're starting something new now, your ignorance is really, I think, an advantage, actually.
Yeah, so maybe we'll touch on that in a second here. But just quickly here, manufacturing. Do you guys do your own manufacturing, or do you guys do it through a third party fulfillment, like a procurement kind of a service?
We do our own. We do
Okay.
all our own.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Like, I think a lot of people are so down. Like, I don't know if you're like Christine, my wife, she's in some Facebook groups, and she's like some subscription ones, like for female entrepreneurs, and I'm in all kinds of different ones as well. And it seems like there's a lot of people kind of like, posting, the sky's falling stuff. And I don't know if we're getting maybe a little bit past that now. I feel like that's it's over. But a lot of people were saying in the last few months, reading articles and stuff, that they're losing memberships. We had this amount where we lost half our members. So I'm not too sure if that's a product of lack of tiered options, maybe because of the offers they're promoting. So I'm not too sure what that comes from. But what kind of opportunities do you see for people? You kind of sort of touched on it now. One of the opportunities, obviously, being kind of a blessing in disguise to pre-plan. But what other opportunities or positives do people look forward to from this moment, 2022, going forward?
So I think that all of the forums and the people who are talking about it, they're correct. I mean, things are much slower than they were before. It's a product of, I hate to use the excuse of the economy, but the economy, at least in the United States, is not good right now. And so if the choice is between getting something that is a subscription, or even if it's a necessity, I mean, one of the things that I like to say about what we do is that, people are going to be wearing underwear regardless. And so if you have something that's a staple, if you have something that's needed, that's always a helpful thing, because maybe they won't let that go. However, when gas, here is upwards of $7 in some places a gallon, people are going to make decisions, and they're going to be hard decisions. So I think the way in which to sort of go through this is to diversify. You may not be able to do that tomorrow. I mean, we're going to be diversifying a lot of what we do, but nothing happens, within a day or so. It takes time. If you're smaller and more nimble, you can probably, try out new things right away. If you're a little bit larger, it takes, months of planning before you can like launch something. But I think diversifying everything, diversifying your offering, diversifying your marketing, and really trying to reach out to people who have been with you in the past who maybe have left, to see, what can you do to sort of like try to get them back. Discounting is huge right now. I just read an article about like industry experts, at least in the big box stores, have never seen this amount of discounting. And that's a product of, and again, this is all stuff that you have to read and you have to talk with people. You have to like be informed. You have to like understand what's happening so that you can be clairvoyant about what's going on. So what you see is a lot of people in 2021 grew very quickly and grew robustly. And so they were behind on supply chain. So what they ended up doing, this isn't just small companies. This isn't just larger subscriptions. This is larger subscriptions, smaller subscriptions. This is Target. They ended up getting so much inventory to make sure that they were available and ready. But then inflation's happened and the economy's pulled back. So then people aren't purchasing as much. So now they have a lot of inventory. And so now it's like, well, what do we do? And so, but this is what's happening all over. And so the people who are like panicking like crazy, I get it. But, if you weren't able to see stuff that Target wasn't able to see, I don't know, you're probably, Target has a lot more resources behind them.
They got a big team. I want to.
Target has a big team. Yes.
Yeah, it's smallish, big. Yeah. I want to unpack a few things you said there, AC. When it comes to diversifying, and then when it comes to marketing and discounting, because I actually did something when it comes to discounting, just like some internal research, and I found some pretty cool stuff that you guys are bang on with the trend, by the way, because I was looking at your site before doing this interview for show prep. And but before we get to that discounting stuff, diversifying. So what would be an example without, I don't know if it's something you can divulge with your own company. Is it like adding products? Is it adding a product shop? What are you exactly talking about? And I know you touched on marketing and different things, but.
Yeah, sure. So one of the things in which we're going to be launching in the future is a single pair subscription. The whole idea of, for us, it's always been, we like to keep things as simple as possible. And being able to do 3 pairs is something which we've found, kind of known that in 3 of those pairs, a member will find hopefully 3 that they love, at least 2 that they like, or at least 1 that's good. So there's something in there for everyone. Yeah. So what we're going to start, but it is a higher price point. And so the idea is maybe you don't need 3, or maybe you can't afford 3 every month. And so we're going to start doing like a 1 pair option to give that ability to have a less expensive option to people who still like the subscription, but maybe can't necessarily afford it in what's happening right this second, what's going on. So that's an idea of like diversifying your offering. The other things in which I think people should look to do is, what can you do as far as getting people to come back who were there before? Because these are people who, at the very least, they tried you. And at the very least, they hopefully liked your product at some point. And so what can you do to sort of get them back? And it may not always be discounting. I mean, we really try to like switch up what we do every single month so that there's something where it's like, you know what? I remember Splendies. Let me try that again.
Right.
And so that's something. But yeah, I think discounting is going to be huge going forward until people have more money to sort of like, pay full price for stuff.
Yeah. No, I love that idea.
We did. I think it's been helpful is we've always had discounts available. People could like use different coupon codes and whatnot. And we like to do that so that we can sort of see, okay, this marketing is doing well, or this influencer has been able to drive people. But what we've started to do is we said, hey, here's a discount right off the bat. You don't have to enter in any coupon code. You don't have to think about it. Here's a discount. Just try us out. And we kind of know that if you try us out, you'll stay on for a certain period of time. So yeah.
Yeah, those are great ideas, and I think it's on par with kind of like what's going on, right? People like, I'd love to, stick with Splendies or whatever your subscription box is, right? However, I just can't afford it. But look, they've offered a new tiered, one underwear a month, which I can probably afford, and I'm going to keep with that or whatever. So I think that's a great way of looking at it. Just one great idea. Okay, discounting. You mentioned discounting is huge. I think I agree. For a while, I was always banging the drum of like having an incredible offer. I think that's still key. But more than ever, I kind of like was seeing a lot of people bring back to 50% discount, but also doing it in a way where it was they were doing it to grow their email list. So for example, what you guys are doing, you go to splendies.com, folks, what you're going to see is the pop-up to sign up for the email, and you get the 50% off. Is that what you're talking about when you're talking about the discounts? Because I'm seeing a lot of people using exactly that tactic right now. And just because everything's gone up in price, they're seeing, I don't know if it's like a subconscious thing where they're like, you know what, I need this. I might as well go for it. It's 50% off right now.
People love offers. I mean, but no, what I was talking about is in our site, when you go to checkout, we automatically give that to you if you so desire to use it. And funny thing, not everyone uses it. But
that's weird. Yeah,
that happens.
Yeah.
But because we're literally giving it to you. But no, that's what I mean is that before we would have you enter in a coupon code. So it's just like one step of friction that's being pulled away that you don't necessarily have to do in order to sort of like get that discount. But yeah, I mean, we're not in 2021 and we're not in 2020. And so I think anyone who runs a company of any size, really, you have to know that. And this isn't the same thing where people are just sort of like, yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, I'll try that. Yeah, I'll try that. Now they're probably like, they're going to do a lot more research. They're going to say, all right, I have X amount of money to spend. Whereas maybe before they may say, hey, I'm going to try company A, B, and C, see which one I like, and then go with that. They're going to take their time to figure out which one of these three options is the best for me. And then, you pretty much want to wow them. And hopefully if you wow them, they'll stay on.
Okay. So discounting, just to make sure I'm on the same page as you, Anthony, you're talking about an automatic discount. So they would have maybe got attracted through a Facebook ad or some kind of paid ads with the offer of the discount. What are you guys offering right now for the discount? Is it 50%?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. So then it's automatically, 100%. Okay. So they go through that link you set up and it's automatically done for them, or they've got to put in a code.
Yes. No, they don't have to put in a code. And that's the difference. Like beforehand, we did have them go in and put in a code. Okay. It helps you to be able to track, this ad or this influencer or whatever.
That medium, yeah.
Is able to sort of like show that they can drive people. So you do lose that when you just give this right off the bat, but it takes one level of friction away, because you'd be amazed at how many people click an ad with enter in this coupon code. And by the time they get to checkout, they either forget or they don't use it. It happens a lot. And so we're just making it a lot easier for people to do that.
And just curious, what do you guys use for your software, like your platform? Is it Recharge? Cratejoy. So that's something you can set up in there. And I know like we use Shopify with Bolt subscriptions, and same thing, you can set up a discount automatically or not. So similar, I think any platform will have that option. If you're listening and like, how do you implement that? Especially if you're on Shopify, which we are, just make sure it's not just in the Shopify. You have to put that code. For the subscription, you'd have to go into your whatever the Recharge or the Bolt subscriptions, whatever you're using as your third-party platform. Yeah, that's a great idea. And I think we're planning to go back to a discount. Right now, we're just finishing up a promo that's been working fairly well, but just to mix it up, I think we're going to go back to discount, because I think I pulled like, was it 20 or 10 boxes that I went and looked at, and like 9 out of 10 or 8 out of 10 had that 50% off right now as like the going offer. It's just, I think it's on trend. People are looking at, and I don't know if you have a shop with Splendies, like where people can just shop individual stuff. We did a sale for Canada Day, which is the same weekend as the Independence Day for you guys. And it was nuts because we had everything 50% off. And again, discounted people, it's the same product, but now that they're 50% off, people went nuts. It was like our biggest sale, I think, ever. And
yeah, people like discounts.
Yeah. So yeah, they sure do. Before we continue, I just want to take a quick second to thank today's sponsor, which is Liam Brennan's Subscription Box Experts Academy. Guys, this is a program. If you've ever looked at growing your subscription box, you're not too sure where to start, specifically when it comes to paid ads, specifically when it comes to something like CRO, making sure your website's ready to convert, this is the program for you. I've been through it. It's $9.97, but if you subscribe to the program or just want more information, you can email me about it. There's also a link that's going to be directly in the show notes, whether you're watching this on YouTube or you are listening to the podcast, any podcast player, it's going to be in the show notes. Click that link and I'm going to give you an additional $50 off. If you're not too sure if it's a fit for you or not, I have turned down people from it before, to be quite honest, just because it's not a fit for everyone. Maybe you're just in that really beginning stage. There's other things that are maybe for you, but this one might not be for you. This is one where hopefully your website's ready to convert, or at least you're ready to know how to optimize it. And this will show you how to do that, but then also take it to the next level and really blew it up with some paid ads. And what's cool, he's always updating the videos. So if you've heard this, this this ad before, he's always adding new videos. Right now, I think he's working on something with TikTok, and there's going to be a new one on open targeting, which they've tested a lot with BusterBox and doing quite well, which we've implemented in ours, open targeting, and we continue to kind of A/B test that as well, and it's been working well. So anyways, if you want more information on that, click the link and you can get on the wait list. It starts on August 4th. I think this episode is actually going to be launching on, I think it's a Tuesday, August 6th, 9th. I don't know what it's going to fall on, but you'll be ready to go with that and join the wait list, join now. And if it says it's full, email me. I might be able to still squeeze you in. So they do fill up fast. Okay. Also wanted to quickly mention the Locals community. Make sure to join us on Locals, which is, think of Patreon. It's a place to support creators like myself. If you want more bonus content, post-show wrap-ups with our guests, and all that kind of fun stuff, you can go join for free at Locals. The app is probably the best way for you to enjoy the content there, but you can also click the link that's below as well, or it's going to be on the screen here that Junard always puts up if you're watching this on YouTube, the subscriptionboxshow.locals.com. All right, AC, where are we going from here? I want to talk about maybe some of the stuff you guys are doing when it comes to maybe conversions, retargeting. Like, so for example, if someone's starting a subscription box business, like they're overwhelmed as it is. Even if you're, 2 years in, you might be completely overwhelmed on how to now take that from, 150, 200 members to 1,000. I think it's because it's kind of a catch-22. You need money to make money. But you also don't have anywhere to get that money, perhaps. Maybe you're a single mom and trying to work this out of your apartment, or you're a couple working out of, your suburb home. The point is it's tough to kind of get some traction if you don't have that money. So what are ways you guys do that might create additional income within your subscription box to get some additional money rolling for marketing for you guys?
So our store is one way, and we're in the midst of making some changes there, but that's definitely a way in which to offer inventory to people in which they may not like the subscription model. That's something that you have to understand. And what I mean by diversifying, not everyone wants a subscription. They may love your product, but they may not want, especially if you do a surprise subscription, which we do, they may want to say, hey, we want only XYZ. And so by offering that in a store, they can do that. Now that does add a level of complexity, because it's a different world from the D2C direct to consumer e-commerce single purchase as opposed to a subscription. They are two different animals. And so you just kind of want to be aware of that, where on the subscription side, you have an idea of what you're offering, what you're selling. You can make some adjustments here and there. With the shop side, especially if you're small, let's say, I remember going through this years ago. If you have, let's say, 5 of an item and that's all you have left, and for whatever reason you come back and you've sold 7 of them, well, now you're probably emailing people, hey, we're sorry, we don't have this, but would you want that? So you really want to get it, like, 'cause that's a nightmare. You really want to get it like streamlined. You really want to get it streamlined to where it's like clockwork and automated and everything's simple. Shopify is great for that. We use Shopify for our store. So that's really the only one I can talk about with that is Shopify has been fairly simple to make that work. And if you do your own fulfillment with the store and you're small, God bless you. It's hard, but that may be something you may want to outsource to someone else to help with.
Yeah, fulfillment. It's funny you say that, because I was just at our warehouse where we use a fulfillment center here in Winnipeg, and I did a kind of a video which I'll be posting in the Locals community shortly once it's edited. But yeah, same idea, where it's like it's easy to just have your stuff there, and as the orders from the shop come in, they just fulfill it and they ship it out. So you'll probably actually not cost you anything, folks. Just so you know, you're like, well, I'm not there yet with my business. Well, you're going to save the money you're going to save on the shipping alone is probably going to make it worth it for you, especially if you're in Canada. Which actually, AC, I want to talk about shipping with you for a quick second here. We're going to kind of like pivot here, just because I think last time we spoke, we might have even had offline conversations about shipping up here in Canada. I don't know if it was with you or someone else that was down there. I don't know if maybe it was, but we were talking about how to, maybe you weren't shipping at the time up here, or maybe you were, but it was costing you a fortune. But I noticed on your site now it says free shipping to Canada. So you figured something out.
Yeah, no, we've always shipped to Canada. Canadian shipping has always been an issue. And I think what unfortunately a lot of Canadian people don't understand is that, and a lot of US people probably don't get this either, is that the US and Canada are very close, obviously, in proximity. But shipping something from the United States, within the United States, let's say from Los Angeles to New York, we'll get it there faster to New York than we will from, let's say, Seattle to Vancouver, which is crazy to think that, it's something that two cities that are so close can take so long to get to, because the border stuff just takes forever. And then the other option is to ship it at a very, very high rate. And so what we did is we partnered with a third-party logistics company in Richmond, which is outside of Vancouver. And so now they handle all of our stuff. That brings into a whole other level of complexity, because in getting stuff into America from overseas in Asia, if that's where you procure items from, it's been very, very hard over the last couple of years. Getting into Canada has been a whole nother level. Like, we had something that was a 4-month delay to get into Vancouver.
Wow.
And so
we ship everything by sea?
We do, yeah. Unfortunately, air freight is just astronomical.
Yeah, it is.
And it just doesn't make sense for our products to do that. And so in order to make it work, what we've done, and this has been a lot of work, is we've had to import stuff into the United States, package it, then send it into Canada, and then have them send it out to members there, which is still faster than shipping from the United States each item into Canada. So the thing about shipping into Canada from the US, I will say, if you're starting out, I would not do it. If you're in the United States, it's a lot of work and a lot of time to get it figured out. I personally would not, but that's just my opinion. I'm a big fan of keeping everything in the same country for as long as you can, because of just how difficult it is.
Well, and the grass ain't greener. Like, for example, there's I always like to share this stat with people. I don't know if I've ever shared it with you. There's more people in California, folks, than there is in Canada. Think about that. Like, legit. Like, I think there's 37 million Canadians now. You guys are at that or higher. There's always around like 38. You guys are always a couple million more. You might even be in the 40s by now. But
I really wish that there was a way in which to make it easier. And other than opening up or partnering with a 3PL in Canada, the other thing that people can do if they're very much wanting to ship into Canada is you may want to partner up with a 3PL that's along the border in the United States. And there's a lot of those in like the Buffalo area. I guess, northern, somewhere in the Seattle area, but you'd want to like go on to places which are very close to where they can truck things over every day. And that's what they do. They'll truck items over every day, but that may not be feasible for someone who's starting out, where let's say they're in Texas, it's going to cost a lot of money to truck things up to a company near the border. And so just having done this a long time, I will say, if you're starting out, don't worry about it yet. Don't worry about international shipping. There's a lot of much larger companies than us that don't do international shipping because it is so much work, and the cost is expensive, and it may not, the juice may not be worth the squeeze, as they want to say. Some of the other companies that I've seen, what they've done is they've said, hey, we'll ship to Canada. It's going to be a lot. It just is. So if you really want it, here's the price. But then they'll have door-to-door tracking, because a lot of people don't know, I'm kind of going on a tangent here, but a lot of people don't know is that a lot of the shipping in Canada is not door-to-door tracking as it is in the United States. Or if you do have that in door-to-door tracking from the United States into Canada, it's going to cost a lot. And so you just want to be aware of all those sorts of things. If you're starting out, I'd be weary of doing it for the time being. As you said about the stat about how many millions of people there are in California as opposed to there are in Canada. That's one thing. However, we are a big fan of bringing our options into Canada, and we've done that since 2014. But it's only been the last 3 years that we've been able to make it to where we've been able to offer free shipping to people in Canada. And we do explain, it does take longer. So we'll have a lot of our members in the United States, they're posting, hey, I got this, I got that. And people in Canada are like, I haven't gotten mine.
Yeah.
It's not us. It's not us.
Yeah. No, for sure. And Chicago is another one. Chicago to Winnipeg. If you want, looking at, if you are central in America, like if you're in the central part of America, not Central America, Chicago, Winnipeg, they bus or they truck daily because it's somewhat close. It's 13 hours drive. So they do kind of use like a lot of, like for our stuff, it goes Chicago, Chicago, vice versa. It's very much the central route. So there you go. Different options there. So I'll go back to the sales and things you can use, to alleviate or to help you with your marketing costs. Do you guys do upsells, and how do you work those?
So, man, that is a great question. And if you're not doing upsells, you should.
Yeah.
We have not done enough of it because of the issue of our backend being on CrateJoy and our backend store being on Shopify. I love CrateJoy for subscriptions. I love Shopify for D2C. And so it does make it an issue to make it to where the customer can seamlessly go from checkout from a subscription to our store. Now we do that. It's just not as seamless as we'd like it to be. A true upsell would be right before or immediately after the sale of the subscription is done. They have a pop-up which has add XYZ and we're done. For us, they do, add XYZ, but then they do have to do another checkout. So if you're not doing upsells, you should. If you're in our situation, it's definitely a little bit trickier to sort of like make all the tech work together seamlessly. But yeah, if you have that ability, 100% you should.
Amazon. I was going to say, like, just talking about the Canada US thing, like there's Amazon USA, which is Amazon.com, and then there's Amazon Canada, Amazon.ca, two different entities in a sense, like if you're looking at it on a business side of things. Do you guys utilize any of those to sell one-offs or even subscriptions by chance?
No, we haven't touched the Amazon world yet. No, it's not something we really looked into.
Yeah, I know we're dipping our toes. I've been in the last month, at first I was looking at Amazon subscriptions. Like I'm talking about maybe a year and a half ago, probably last time we spoke. And then recently I just decided to put together an Amazon seller account just strictly for the American side of things, because I think we're going to start different boxes, some one-offs that are not subscription, but just some product-based stuff. So I was just curious if you had any experience in that as we're about getting ready to launch, but there's a lot to it, right? It's not a simple thing. You got to it's pricey too if you gotta send some pallets worth of stuff there and kind of have it sit there and wait for it to sell. So that's why I was just wanting to. Is any reason why you guys haven't dipped your toes in it, or just it's like you're busy enough with what you have and don't want to kind of put your stuff into the hands of a third party?
Really busy.
Yeah.
As you get larger, what you sort of realize is that you have to be really careful about where you spend your time. And so I am guilty sometimes of trying to do way too many things at once. And so 2022, I've made it an edict to focus on certain things that are really important. And if it's not, top of mind, really important, then we're going to table it.
Fair play. I mean, yeah, it's funny. I was just listening to one of my daily mentors, whatever, that I listen on YouTube. It's like 5-minute things and talking about the same thing. How you got to say no sometimes and kind of prioritize. We think we confuse. How did he say it? We confuse activity with productivity, and I think that's
for sure.
It's so key, because it's like, yeah, I'm busy. You're busy checking emails. You're distracted and like taking care of distractions sometimes, and that could just be. Amazon, folks, by the way, could be a complete distraction for you at this point, right? So it might even be for us. We're going to find out, right? So it's one of those things. CrateJoy Marketplace. How much do you think people, even if they're not with CrateJoy, so for someone like me, and it's actually on my board as something else that could be a distraction, but I've heard a lot of people that at least have their boxes in the marketplace for discoverability. Is that something you suggest people do?
Sure. Yeah. Whatever you think works for you, or can work for you, and it's not going to be this huge time suck or time crunch, then you should do that. So for an example like that, without knowing all the numbers, just using common sense, we're going to say that Amazon is larger than CrateJoy Marketplace. So you'd want to say at the end of the day, if I put all my time and energy into Amazon, is it so large that we're going to get lost, and we're then going to have to spend a lot on marketing in order to like get people to hopefully purchase the products? And that's a whole nother thing where you may have to outsource to like a team or hire someone else on the team to do that. And will you make more sales as a result? Or do you do something like CrateJoy Marketplace, where there may not be as many people, but they may be more focused people on what you're looking for, and you can probably run that in your spare time? That's what you have to weigh. So it's interesting. It's not like a clear cut, because Amazon is huge, you may necessarily want to do it. Maybe you'll get more sales, maybe not. but I would imagine the ramping up for it is going to be a ton. And the worst thing really to do is to spend weeks or months in trying to get something up and then nothing really happens. And then you're like, okay, well, now what else do I have to do? Because I think a lot of times people think, I'll just put something on Amazon and it'll just start selling like crazy. There's more work that has to be done afterwards. So
Yeah, and we got off a call with some people there, some agencies that work specifically with them, kind of like a third party to help you get started, which is very expensive, which we haven't not used, but on their complimentary call, it was amazing because you have to have like your trademark in place just so you can get your brand registry. And if you have those places, then you can have like a special site and they'll focus the traffic to those sites first and foremost. So these are all things that cost money, take time, and it can become a complete time suck. So yeah, we're kind of just dipping our toes, but I think we're just going to start very simply and plainly, but who knows, we might even just kind of like kibosh it all completely. We'll see, because yeah, I mean, there's only so much time we all have. And okay, so how much time do you have, by the way? Because I want to maybe talk to you about paid ads, but I want to keep that for the post-show wrap-up.
Sure. No, go ahead, man. That's fine.
So okay, so we're going to keep the paid ads because I want to talk about paid ads, what you guys are using, what's your biggest driver, and we're going to keep that a secret. So folks, if you're a supporter on Locals and you have an account there, come and join us for the post-show wrap-up after this one is done. It'll be available, of course, always on the Friday before the Tuesday. And just for the sake of me always going back and forth, let me just quickly check here. This episode will be on the 9th. It's a Tuesday. So on Friday, the 5th of August, you're watching this potentially. It is ready, by the way. So, okay. So we're going to keep the paid ads for that part of it. What are some of the things maybe you guys are doing at Splendies to kind of prepare for just what's going to come up in the next, 365 days, not just Q4, but what's something that maybe it's a trend, or maybe it's something that you're bracing for. Maybe it's like is it more customer acquisition, retention? What are you guys focused on right now?
Well, yeah, customer acquisition is always like the number one thing, followed closely by keeping them there. I was looking at every so often, I sort of like do a breakdown of the company. I like to keep things as simple as possible. And there are 5 basic metrics, which are product. Let's see if I can remember them off the top of my head, but product, marketing, customer service, tech, and fulfillment. So I'll do them slowly. Product, customer service, marketing, fulfillment, and tech. And so I kind of just went through it. I'll say that our product from even a year ago, I rate it as a 9 out of 10. I think that we're sending the best product that we've ever sent. We brought some people on to help with that, to make sure that everything is as perfect as possible. One of the things which is cool about planning so far ahead is you have a lot more time to make sure that everything is perfect. I mean, I remember going through a design. I think we were on the 6th iteration of a design to make sure it's like as perfect as can be. If you're planning things out 3 or 4 months in advance, you don't have that time. But since we're planning stuff out so much further in advance, you can do that. So the product is better than it's ever been. Then the second thing is you want to have the marketing. The marketing hopefully is going to be tied into telling people what the product is to get them to purchase the product. And that sounds very simple and obvious. However, you don't want to have marketing that's like, hey, here's a luxury brand, and then the product they get is not a luxury product. Or you have a product which is a luxury product, and you're kind of marketing it and you're not spending anything on marketing, and the marketing's not that good. So they have to be in line to where the people are being marketed a product that they expect to get when they get it. Fulfillment, you want to make sure that things go out on time. Something that we do that I suggest to all subscriptions do is we have a ship date of the 19th each month. So we ship everything out. We start shipping everything out on the 19th. I will say that out of 12 months in the year, probably 8 to 9 months, we will have things shipped out probably around the 13th or 14th, to where people are actually getting it by the 19th, so that we are usually well ahead of that. Now, there are definitely people who say you want to ship them all in the same time every single month, so that people know and have a cadence exactly what to expect. And I don't disagree with that, but it's always better if you can beat expectations. That's good. So give yourself a buffer. If you're shipping things out, let's say on the 15th every month, and that's when you say you're going to ship them out, and you're struggling to get that, push that back to the 17th or 18th. It's better to ship it out earlier and then get it earlier, and maybe not the exact time every single month, than to miss the shipping date. That people really get frustrated with that. So that's the third thing. And then the tech, just making sure that everything, that there's no like major breakdowns on the back end, that everything's working. I remember a couple months ago, we had a situation where we made one very, very simple change on the website, and it caused like people not be able to subscribe for like a day. And it's like, oh my God, like how did this one simple, quick change do that? So as you get larger, and I think depending on who's listening to this, people who are larger will sort of know this, and people who are smaller may not know this part. But the larger you are, the more any little change is very likely not a little change. I mean, this couldn't have been the simplest change that we did. I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was something where it was like, okay, go ahead and do that. And then everything's just sort of crashing, and you're like, wow. So just be careful of that. If things are working, I'm a big fan of just keeping them as they are. So yeah, you want to do that. And then the last two things are customer service, making sure that people are getting responded to quickly, and fulfillment. And I already said fulfillment, that things are going out on time. So if you can get those 5 things right, hopefully you're in a good spot. Just to kind of break it down as simply and easily as possible.
Yeah. And I mean, each one of those is a job in itself. Like you guys, so for someone who's doing this alone, is there any tips and tricks? Because when you started, were you alone, or I can't remember now. Like,
yeah, for sure. Very much so, doing all of this. The product.
Yeah, the curation.
If you have a bad product, you probably won't do well.
No. You can almost add like, where would you land social media in there? I guess it's a little bit of everything, right? Like customer service, marketing. It's kind of like
it's a hybrid of customer service and marketing. Just have a good presentation on on your social media. Not misspelling words. I can't describe enough how like it's small stuff, but it means something.
Yeah.
But I will give a funny anecdote. I don't know if we've tried this, but we thought about this. Misspelling words in emails, subject headings. It's really hard to get out in front of people. And there's 100% truth of not bad publicity, any publicity is bad publicity.
Yeah.
Not saying that, but like, how do you get people to open up your email? A couple of companies that we've seen that have done some interesting stuff is they'll send out emails in which it'll say like RE, like reply, as though it's like they're replying, say, hey, this discount wasn't supposed to go out. I always click on them. And it's actually pretty brilliant. It's actually really smart. And then you'll open it up and you'll see the disclaimer at the bottom where it is an ad. And you can tell after reading a couple things it is an ad, but it's actually pretty interesting because it's like, this was an internal email about a discount, which wasn't supposed to go out, but it went out. Yeah. Quotation marks to people. But it's actually really smart. And, so we thought about, do you do like, misspelling where people are like, oh my God, they can't even, are they clicking? That's it. Like, can you get them to click on it?
Yeah.
That's what matters. If they do, then you have a chance. But the plethora of emails that people get, and I'm sure are inundated with, are like this discount, that like, what can you do to like at least get them in there to at least open it up and try? It's bold. I'm not gonna lie. But hey, maybe.
It's funny because we're talking about discounts and 50%. Is there a discount? And I know right off the bat, people are listening because they email me about this. They're like, well, I could do 10%. That's about it. I'm like, well, it's not going to move the needle. I don't think 10% does it anymore. Like when I was talking about the 10 companies that I looked up and that, 9 out of 10 had 50% for you to sign up to the email. That's to sign up for the subscription, right? Like that used to be what, as much as me, it used to be 10, maybe 15% you'd see there. The number is 50 now, folks. Like, you're going to have to figure it out because it's, it's, you might say, I can't eat that 50%, but you're going to eat it anyways in customer acquisition costs. This is just going to lower your customer acquisition cost to where it's actually going to be cheaper probably to get that customer than if you were to try that 10%, if that makes any sense. Are you seeing this? Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know where I was going with this, but I had a point I wanted to make on the 50%. If someone says they can't afford 50% off, what would you tell them? It's like, are you basically the same thing?
It depends on their business. They may not be able to.
Okay.
If they can't. I mean, not everyone can afford it. Every business is built differently. And so, if they can't do it, then, they can't do it. Maybe they can have some other sort of offering, a free product. People like free, people like discounts.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there are other ways. You don't necessarily have to do the 50% off. But people do like to try and like get something. Now, there are brands in which don't have to do any sort of discounting at all because they've been able to build up for years. And I mean, I'm talking like,
Under Armour, or, whatever.
Yeah,
right?
major companies.
Yeah.
They may not have to necessarily do that. But I think that if you're a smaller company, a smaller brand, like a lot of us in the subscription world are, you want to do that. I mean, I'm seeing the biggest players. I know Dollar Shave Club has a really good discount on right now. And that just sort of shows you, like, if those sorts of bigger time people are doing it, see what you can do in your realm. It may not be able to be 50, I get it, but what can you do to sort of like try and get people to at least stop? I mean, that's the thing. Like in paid advertising, people are scrolling through 24/7 just really quickly. What can you do to get them to stop? That's what I mean by that's why those email campaigns I think are really interesting, because it gets you to stop. Does a typo get people to stop? Does what gets them to stop and click, regardless of what it is?
Yeah. Which, by the way, folks, we will get into that into the poster wrap up. So I want to kind of wrap things up so we can head over to the poster wrap up so I can be respectful of your time, AC. Is there anything else you want to kind of mention for the general listeners, just kind of generally speaking when it comes to 2022? Maybe things that you guys are doing?
The main thing I would say is, I think if you're in the forums and if you're talking with other people, I'm not necessarily in a lot of forums, but I do speak with a lot of people who I trust in the industry. And I like to have them from different walks of life so that I can know it's not a apparel situation. It's not an intimate situation. It's a industry-wide situation. I think that's really important because you may be going into this and like you're like in a vacuum. You're saying like the world is falling and stuff like that. It's a difficult time right now, but knowing that other people are going through it, not only I think for your mental health allows you to understand that, hey, here's what's going on, but you also understand, what's an us problem as opposed to what's a macro problem. And I think being able to sort of decipher those two things are really important. And so when I'm telling you that our product is the best it's ever been, we know that we sort of solved those sorts of issues. We had supply chain issues half a year to a year ago, and that's been solved. So yeah, it's stick and keep talking to people to sort of like get what's happening around. It's important to do. Yeah,
getting the pulse of things, right? And like, I think I would agree, like just not only in your own niche, but just kind of everywhere, and study and look at different things. What's working? I love going on Facebook library and kind of see what the latest one of big companies, regardless of the niche, like I'll go into all kinds of different niches and see what kind of they're using for videos and pictures, which we'll get into in the post show wrap up. But yeah, anyways, well, thanks for doing this for the general listener. If you're viewing this on YouTube, if you are listening to this on your favorite podcast player, thanks. Make sure to follow and subscribe. I never say that enough, but that does really help the things, the thumbs up on YouTube and all those different things. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, follow. You can actually rate the show. It takes just a second. We'd appreciate that. And for those of you who are part of the Locals community, head over to Locals for the poster wrap up with AC. We're going to talk about paid ads. We're going to talk about platforms they're using, videos, pictures, what are the kind of trends they're seeing, and what's been working for them and what they foresee working for them going forward. So if you're not part of Locals, just come and join for free, and we'll see you there. Anthony, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate your time. And if there's nothing else, let's head over to the post show wrap up. Cool?
Sure. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers.